Ladies and gentlemen, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in 2 minutes. Excellent
listening
locations are still available all around Showcase Promenade. Due to the use of
alcohol and opinions.
around the lagoon, for your safety, we request that you remain on the promenade side of all railings. During the show, please watch your step and take small children firmly by the hand. Once again, this evening's performance of
The Diz Explorers
will begin in just 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Diz Explorers podcast, where each week we explore the many avenues of the great Disney universe. So this week, we're going to take a break from some of the movie talk. We've been a little heavy on that for the past couple of weeks, but rightly so. There's some good stuff coming out, and has come out, and is coming out, within the next couple of weeks and months, which we've talked about. So this week, we're going to head back to the parks, and have a good idea that Adrianne came up with because it seems to have been weather's been very rainy everywhere, or supposed to be within the next couple of days and the weeks, at least up here in the Northeast, and I know down in the South Florida is supposed to get some rain too. But so we're going to talk about rainy day park days. I guess, what you do, what each of us do. Do we go to the parks? Do we hang at the hotel? And is there and stuff of that nature. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've been there when it's downpoured multiple times, and I'm trying to think of. We generally bring our ponchos back from home because we have many of them. So when we remember, I bring them. This past trip, I forgot them. They made it out of the cabinet and onto the bed. They just didn't make it into the suitcase. So, but it was fine because the kids actually needed new ones anyway, because the kid ones didn't fit them. They were a little small. And they were so old that they were kind of, dingy looking.
Right.
Not that matters, but anyway, they needed to get some adult ones. So we grabbed a fresh set, and it's not the end of the world. You can never have too many ponchos, because we'll use them around here sometimes for stuff too. So it's not like they just go to waste. So yeah, we definitely used them for this past trip because there was a couple of rainstorms.
Well, it rains like all the time, but my problem in the past has been that you never know when it's going to, it might rain. If you go in the summer, it's more than likely going to rain somewhere around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon and be a short shower and then be done.
Right. So
we always stay in the parks. We aren't ones to go, oh no, it's raining, and leave. But as we were talking about before, my family is going down here the next weekend, and I've been monitoring the weather, and it is supposed to rain basically nonstop for the next week and a half in Florida. So that's what got me thinking about this podcast and this topic, was that I've never really planned for a rainy vacation in Disney World before and had forethought. It usually just, crap, it's raining, let's run to our reservation or whatever attraction we're going to next, just throw on the ponchos and run. But I wanted to see if there were any unique ideas or things that I hadn't thought of or done that I could plan for, because y'all know I'm the planner. So
well, I think because of the simple reason that unless it's a day that they've seen ahead of time that it's definitely going to be a raining all day type day, I don't know that there are any planned things that they do other than even if they even still do it, the Magic Kingdom at least used to do the rainy day cavalcade, where they'd kind of bring some of the characters out, and like if they couldn't run the parade, they used to do a little thing where they'd come down, I think just Main Street, I believe, and the characters would be in like some ponchos, and they'd have a little song that sung, and it was like a little 5-minute thing, I believe. I want to say maybe Epcot used to do something as well, like in the World Showcase Promenade there, kind of where the Illuminations Fast Pass area is. I think many years ago they maybe used to do something, but other than that, I don't know of any planned activities that they do. I mean, it depends on the severity of the rain too, because certain attractions may, some of the outdoor roller coasters may shut down if it's actual storms and lightning and.
Yeah, I was looking at it today. Because it was raining in Orlando today, so I was looking at the wait times to see what was closed and saw that like Big Thunder, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Test Track always closes like the instant there's any wetness whatsoever.
Yep.
And Cali River Rapids, I think, if it gets bad enough, typically closes.
Probably Everest too.
Yeah.
Maybe Everest, yeah.
But one thing that we have done in the past is hopped on, I think we were at Magic Kingdom maybe, and it started to downpour and we weren't ready to go back. So we hopped on the resort monorail, and it was with the kids. And we just kind of went from resort to resort just to kind of have a ride to do that was always going to be inside.
Right.
And to not get too wet. Of course, that ended in disaster, by the way, because then the monorail broke down. And
of course.
They were like packing us like sardines into buses to get us back. It was truly horrendous, as bad as situations can be at Disney World anyway. But but Milford, I know that you had mentioned that y'all had done a monorail bar crawl before.
Yeah, we've done it once or twice. If it starts raining and we're at Magic Kingdom, we'll just go hop the monorail and go have a few drinks. There's good bars at the Contemporary, the Polynesian, and the Grand Floridian. I mean, we've sat in the bar at Grand Floridian probably for 3 hours waiting on the rain to quit.
Nice.
A few times.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, there are nice little spots in each one. Yeah, so you can go to Meisner's at Grand Floridian, or depending on what time of day it is, Trader Sam's doesn't open until 4 at the Polynesian.
Right.
But Tambu Lounge does open a little earlier.
Yep.
And then over at the Contemporary, you have the Outer Rim, and I believe that.
And the Wave has.
There's also a bar in the Wave.
And there's a bar in the Wave. Yeah. That's right. Yes.
Yep.
So you do have many options, and each one has like a somewhat of a specialty drink. Like I know the Meisner's has a couple of really, and the Grand Floridian one is going to be a little classier. I mean, it's not. You don't have to be dressed up to go into it, but they do have. I think they do have a little. Band that plays in there. I think. I know they have the orchestra that plays out in the lobby, but I believe there's a little jazz trio or something that does play
sometimes.
In Meisner's, yeah. So then they have some better drinks there, and then the Outer Rim the Outer Rim's a little walk-up bar. It's real tiny. It used to be a lot bigger
Isn't
before.
It like to the left of
Contempo?
Chef Mickey's?
Yes,
oh,
where the check-in.
Okay.
Yeah, where the check-in is for. It's up before you go down the. Yeah, it's on the same level as the Contempo Cafe. Along the outer edge. It used to be a bigger space before they moved Chef Mickey's into there.
Yeah.
But they have that, and then they have that huge drink there that comes in like that giant fish bowl. I think it's called the Seven Seas Lagoon or something like that. It's technically good for two people, but
saw that.
it's massive.
Me and Christopher and my sister went there and had some really horrible pork belly. I don't suggest that at all. At the little wave bar, and somebody else ordered that giant drink. I'm like, oh my god, y'all aren't gonna be able to walk out of here. Is all I could think. Like,
do you get to keep the glass? Is it a souvenir drink, or is it just huge?
It's just a big, like thick glass. It looks like a giant snifter glass, but like huge.
Yeah, it was truly humongous. And glowed too.
It glowed,
right?
There's a couple of glow cubes in there.
4 or 5 glow cubes in.
And I think there's like some Swedish fish or something that's in it as well, to because it's like a lagoon with fish in it.
Oh, they have that same drink at the top of the World Lounge.
Oh, do they?
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah, they serve the same drink over there.
That makes sense. I think you're correct, yes. And that's right. If you're DVC, then you can head over to the Bay Lake Tower and go hit Top of the World. If it's open.
Yeah, because I believe Jillian and them ordered that drink while we were up there that night when I took us all up there.
I think you're correct. That's right. Yeah. So,
all right. So the Polynesian, since we're talking about like monorail resorts, the Polynesian has a lot of like kid activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are most of those outdoors?
I'm trying to think when we were there, because we didn't really do... I mean, they all have, like, the pool stuff they do daily. The little contests and trivia contests and things like that. But in the lobby at the Polynesian, I know that they do, like little hula lessons, and they have, like, that little kid area with the TV and stuff, where they can, sit and watch
Right.
Mickey cartoons or movies or whatever they have on.
Because I assume that movie Under the Stars is canceled when it's raining.
Yeah, because they do that out in the actually at the Polynesian. They do it right at on the
beach, right?
No, they do it in that green area right to the side.
Yeah, between the buildings, right?
Yeah, it's not quite on the beach.
Gotcha.
Contemporary, I know they do it out on the back pool deck somewhere, because I've seen it when we stayed in Bay Lake Tower. You could see the screen from
Right.
where our room was. But I know you can get the schedule of events at the check-in desks for all these resorts. I don't know off the top of my head what they all do, but there is activities they do during the day. I don't know how extensive they are, and I'm sure during rain stuff. Like, I know when we were the day that it rained, and we didn't even leave the resort yet, so we were at the resort still, and it was pouring pretty good. So we just kind of hung around in the lobby, because the lobby is just a great place to hang out in. And I think we had walked over to the outdoor, the Pineapple and I, and grabbed a drink just to bring back and sit in the lobby with. But got the big shop there, and there's plenty of room to kind of roam around. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I mean, my kids were kind of content with just sitting there, but I don't know how long you could. If you're trying to wait out 3-4 hours of a storm, I think you're kind of out of luck.
Yeah.
I don't know how much the activities are anyway. Like, I know Animal Kingdom Lodge. I know it's not on the monorail loop, but for instance, if you went over there for some reason, if you happen to be at Animal Kingdom, they do a lot of. There is a lot more going on in the lobby. It seems like there's always.
Like people and
there's always cultural people. They have the thing where they do the beads for certain animals every day with the kids, and there's like almost like a Kidcot station. There's always somebody doing drawing or some sort of crafts and things like that. So I think that's kind of unique to that resort, because I don't know that all the other ones have it. Because as you go down the line, the lobbies aren't as extensive, and there's really not much of anything. You know what I mean? You go to the values, the lobby's pretty much a check-in desk, and that's it.
Right.
It's a big area, but there's not a lot of theming, and there's not a lot of things to do. Other than maybe the hair braid person, maybe out there in a character person. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we generally, if it's happening in the park, kind of like what Adrianne said in the beginning, we kind of just stay in the park unless it's like torrential downpour. But we've even got caught in those two, and those usually don't last that long. So if you duck into a shop, a show, an attraction that's longer, then you generally
that's
should be
okay. How we discovered Festival of the Lion King.
Really?
Like it started to rain, and it was the first adult trip I'd taken with my husband. And it started to rain, and we're like, well, screw this. Let's go do something we've never done before. And then ended up having a fabulous time for 30 minutes.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I remember a couple of times it raining when just me and my wife were down there without the kids too, and it's like we'd put our ponchos on and wander, and it seemed to have happened more often when we were at Animal Kingdom, which is a great park to just wander around and kind of look and be amazed how these places empty out when it rains. I mean, people just don't want to deal with it, it seems. Either they hide inside shops until it lets up and they go, but I mean, it's just amazing how the parks kind of empty out somewhat. And then you just kind of have free reign of doing whatever that's available.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, if you don't mind your feet getting a little wet, because your feet are going to get wet, unless you got flip-flops on, but so my shoes will always get soaked. But other than that, as long as the rest of me's dry, I'm pretty happy.
We've never ridden Cali River Rapids, and we're like, if it's open, we're totally doing it, because if you're wet, might as well.
That's right. I do tell you though, last time when we were there. It was raining when we were on Big Thunder Mountain, but not enough to shut it down. But there was a few heavy spurts here and there. So the outdoor roller coasters are fun if you get caught on it while it's raining, because it's like being pelted by hail.
Oh, it's brutal. It hurts your face. I was just gonna say, I did Thunder Mountain in the rain. I hated it. Oh.
But they do try to get the trains back in quick. And
honestly, I'd never thought about that. Like how much that would hurt.
It does. It hurts.
Like some microderm, like face rejuvenator, whatever. You never have to get one of those again.
Exfoliating.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Exfoliating.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It is brutal. Yep. And on the flip side, if you're in line for some of those things, it can really suck if you're standing there forever. Like Test Track, like Adrianne said, if there's lightning within 5 miles, they won't run that thing outside. It's because it's a giant metal structure. But
does that ride break down a lot?
Not anymore. It used to. No, I don't think it's down for that much, but weather stuff will stop it quicker than any of the other ones, for sure.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get stuck inside, and they'll wait a while, and then after a while they'll start turning people around and handing you fast passes to come back or whatever the situation may be, because then they know it's got to be. One of the guys explained the protocol to us one time when we were standing there, because we were right at the area where you'd be getting in to load into your car, and there has to be no lightning strike within a certain amount of miles and within after a certain amount of time before their protocol to open it back up again. So I mean, they have like a whole dedicated team of people that just monitor the weather so they can know what's going on, just for safety reasons. So makes sense. Magic Kingdom's probably the easiest park to be caught in, maybe, just because there's the most coverage building-wise, just because there's more things, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Epcot's big and has but it doesn't have as many buildings.
There's like you can go into Mexico, you can go into America and China, right? Because China has all the shops.
Yes, if you're in World Showcase, you have a better chance, but in Future World, it kind of...
Everybody goes to the land.
Everybody goes to the land, yes, or the seas.
Yeah.
Because anything else, you're queuing up for a ride. I mean, Imagination has a huge area downstairs, but it's really not used for anything but the little bit of line that goes in there. The same with Spaceship Earth is queued outside, and Energy's closed. Otherwise, that would be a people eater. Mission Space, people aren't going to flock to there,
right? Unless
they go in through the shop to the training area. And the same with Test Track. There's just no place to hang out unless you go to the shop. But the shop is, I guess you go into the shop and then you can go into the old Trans Center. I don't even know what it's technically called now, and hang out with, where all the new cars and stuff are. But I don't think generally people think in that sense. I think they figure that stuff is like a one way. You can only come out of it. You can't go in and go backwards, which is ludicrous, but it's just funny.
Right.
To think
at Hollywood Studios, do they do Indiana Jones when it's storming?
I wouldn't
covered,
think so.
But open.
It's covered but open, but I wouldn't think so. I mean, I guess they could do the pyrotechnics. I mean, that stuff, it's all propane, so it's going to blow up anyway. But for the actors and actresses, maybe it's a safety thing with slipping.
I just wondered, because I've never done. I've been there when it's like sprinkling,
Yeah,
but not full on thunderstorm. We were in a full on scary thunderstorm one time in line for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah.
And it was terrifying. People's hats getting major thunder and lightning, where you see the streaks of lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember everybody in line going, "Are we going to die? Are we going to die right here in the middle of Magic Kingdom?"
Hey, it wouldn't be a bad place, but I mean, still.
I know there are worse.
There are worse things.
But there are worse things.
That's what I would always say to people if people that are down there. Oh, it's raining today, blue, whatever. I'm like, hey, listen, I'll take a rainy day at Walt Disney World over a rainy day anywhere else in the world.
Exactly.
Because it's not like there's really nothing to do, and unless it's like you said, and it's coming down in sheets and you can't see anything. you can kind of deal with it a little bit, because generally it's a quick storm, quick passing shower, like you said, in the afternoon, and that's kind of it. But if you get those all-day rainy days, there's still plenty to do, and most everything, as long as it's not pouring, will be running and operational. There may be some outdoor shows, and like I said, the parades may not run, but they even run those.
Yeah.
You know,
if it's not like scary,
super pouring, because I gotta imagine the costumed characters. Those costumes are probably some sort of waterproof material.
Yeah.
I bet they're wishing it would have rained during the Magic Kingdom parade.
Yeah, I don't know that the water would have put that out, but it got handled pretty quickly. So I'm sure there's protocols for that. I haven't heard or researched anything else. I guess it's I guess it hasn't. Have they been running the parade at all since then? And just without that float?
I have not heard. I assume they're running the parade without that float.
I know we're going off topic, but I was just wondering about that. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I was wondering it myself. I haven't looked into it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely... I mean, if I had to make suggestions for either... Like, if it's really downpouring and you were looking for other stuff to do, monorail... I mean, if bar crawl isn't your thing, or if you have
your thing,
or if you have... or if you have your kids with you, then it's definitely worth doing a monorail crawl, but then just to visit each hotel and walk around. I mean, the lobbies in those deluxe hotels are massive. They're huge.
And I mean, you can do a dessert crawl.
You could do that. Absolutely. Yeah, you can go to absolutely
some banana pudding at the Tambu Lounge.
Yep.
You know.
No, absolutely. You can definitely
go on search for all the rose gold cupcakes.
That's right.
You know.
Well, if you're gonna do that, then you got to go to Animal Kingdom Lodge, to the Mara, and get yourself some zebra domes.
Ugh.
That's my dessert of choice if I have to. And I'm not a sweets person, so.
No, but I like me some zebra domes.
Yeah, me too.
I think our favorite thing, well, I'm not going to say our favorite thing, but the best thing we have found when you're in any park is to find a show. Like, go see Finding Nemo. It takes forever.
Yep.
You know, or...
Yeah, you'll kill a good hour doing that stuff.
Exactly.
You know, even at the resorts. I mean, just wandering around and checking out the buildings, and even into. I mean, you can't see anything in any of the longhouses or anything in the Polynesian, but at least the Great Salt Running House is a pretty big place. Even if you wander through the couple little shops and just sit down in the lobby and kind of take it in and people watch. People watching is a great thing to do at Walt Disney World. Because there's plenty of characters that aren't in costumes that wander around that place.
All right, so Jessica, tell us some of your Disneyland favorites.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of what you're saying applies. The park really does empty out for sure. And I think there are basically two experiences you can have on a rainy day. So there's the people that are desperately trying to stay dry, and then the people that just don't care and are down to get wet. And if that is the case, it's pretty much the best day ever at Disneyland, because it's amazing how many people just flood into the stores on Main Street or into downtown Disney and just give up, basically. And the lines just drop dramatically. And there are a couple of rides in particular that I think are extra cool in the rain. So the first one is Indiana Jones, just because if the line is super long, you have to wait outside, which would stink if it's raining. But because the crowds tend to lighten up, you go to the indoor part of the queue. And there's a really big chunk of it that's partially inside, partially outside. So you can hear the rain coming down and kind of see it, but you're not getting wet. And it's really cool. Yeah. And then another one that I would say is Splash Mountain, just because I've been there when it's raining and the cast members just let you keep riding over and over without getting out of the boat because the lines drop so much.
Nice.
So our record is 5 times in a row without them making us get off the boat, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And then the third one that I'd really recommend is the carousel behind Sleeping Beauty Castle, just because Fantasyland is so pretty when it's raining, because the gold in the castle kind of sparkles and the buildings all shine, and it just looks really cool. So when you do that, you get a great view of all of the center court in Fantasyland. I think that California Adventure is much more challenging in the rain, because even if you don't care about getting wet, so many of the rides are outside that a lot of stuff closes, especially in Cars Land, because the tracks get really slippery. So that can
right,
be kind of tough. But if you're okay with not going on a ride and just hanging out, my recommendation is to get a cheddar garlic twist or some kind of snack and a drink from the Cozy Cone Motel. And then if you walk across the street to Flo's V8 Cafe, which is like a 50s diner, the back is all glass and overlooks the mountain range where the Radiator Springs Racers ride is. So that's a place that I've gone when it's raining. And if it's raining hard enough, they'll turn on the neon lights.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can just sit there and kind of look out at the rain and sort of wait for it to pass. So I would say for California Adventure during the rain, that's more of a take in the sights, get a drink, hang out. And then Disneyland would be more of the get on as many rides as you can while the crowds are light. But in either case, it's really fun. And the train is pretty cool in the rain too, actually, especially now that they've added the waterfalls in the back of Frontierland. It just kind of looks really cool when it's sort of misty and rainy. So, what you're saying about the going into the shows and kind of popping in the shops it's exactly the same thing. And as soon as there's any clouds in the sky, the poncho carts just appear out of nowhere. They just materialize. It's kind of amazing.
They start stacking them near all the registers and.
Yep. Yeah. It's its own kind of magic trick, seeing how fast those things pop out.
Oh yeah.
So my question for Disneyland is, since it's a different kind of visitor there, right? It's usually locals. Does it empty out more? Because I remember Crystal telling us when it rains that they peace out, right? Like they'll be back tomorrow. It's not that big a deal in Disney World.
I can't compare it to Disney World, but I will say that the lines really, really drop. So in March, I went on a Saturday, which is usually an insanely busy day in the spring on a Saturday at Disneyland. And it was kind of misting, not even raining. And I think the longest we waited for anything was 20 minutes. Wow. People just disappear.
Wow.
Yeah. So it makes a huge difference. And obviously you can't plan ahead saying, I want to go when it's raining. But if you have the opportunity, jump on it.
Do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, in for when we went, that the day that it rained, it literally affected people for the rest of that day, because it rained all like mid-morning and afternoon, and we left the park and went back at night, and Magic Kingdom was a ghost town. Like I said on here, I mean, the kids rode all the roller coasters multiple times without me needing any fast passes, and it was awesome for them, and it was fantastic. I was like, wow, I just can't believe that.
Yeah.
People just, I mean, it literally wasn't going to rain anymore. It was a little cool, but I mean, it wasn't. I just couldn't believe that people just didn't flood back to the parks later on.
Oh, and in Southern California, even if they're projecting this massive washout monsoon day, it usually rains max like 2 hours and then the sun comes out.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I went to college in San Diego, which is about an hour and a half from Disneyland, and we used to check the forecast, and whenever they predicted heavy rain, that's when we'd go, because we knew that people would be scared and not go because, they melt in the rain or whatever. So that's the time to go, because a washout day ends up with sunshine like 99% of the time. So. Right.
And if it ends
and
up
people
being...
don't come back. It seems like when they leave, they just stay away.
That's what
it's
I didn't understand. Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
Oh, another spot that's kind of fun in the rain is Trader Sam's, actually, because they have a little bit of the deck has a roof cover, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the outside at the one here, it has umbrellas, and it's pretty well covered, but you're still going to get wet if it's blown sideways.
Well, yeah, if it's really windy.
If it's windy or if it's coming down pretty hard, I mean, you're going to get the drip line of the umbrella, I don't believe, goes beyond like where you're sitting on the chairs. So you'd have to stand, but...
And the other thing I love once the sun starts coming out is when all the janitors go around and they draw the characters with the water.
Oh,
do they do that? It's so cool.
They usually do it, and they usually have them doing it in the morning, like as people are coming in. But I would imagine they do it after the rain as well. I remember, like, after the heavy rains are done, they would, like in the Magic Kingdom mostly, they come out with those big air blowers and blowing the water towards all the drains, and they'd be sweeping off the sidewalks because the drainage in some of the parts of Walt Disney World is friggin' horrible, just because of however it was laid out originally. I don't know, but there are some places in Epcot and stuff that flood pretty bad. in some of those big open areas. So they usually...
Fantasyland by the Matterhorn floods pretty horribly. It's just an ankle deep water in a lot of spots.
Definitely, yeah. Especially when it comes down like hard and fast, because it just can't go anywhere. It doesn't dissipate fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess the advantage Disney World has over Disneyland is the amount of resorts options you have. I guess if it was really pouring, or where you're staying. Like, I don't know anything about either of the two hotels, the main ones at Disneyland. Like if they have expansive lobbies, if there's other places.
The Grand Californian does. It's pretty cool. It's this giant Hearthstone lounge, it's called. But the other challenge that Disneyland has compared to Disney World is, I think you guys have more attractions with covered queues, probably because it rains more frequently. So, like for us, the Mad Tea Party, for example, is completely just under a tree. So when it rains, that closes.
Right.
Our Pirates of the Caribbean queue is 100% outside. The Little Mermaid queue is 100% outside. So those kind of things get tricky when it's raining, because you don't mind if you're kind of running from attraction to attraction, but standing in line in the rain can be kind of miserable.
That kind of sucks. Yeah, well, that was...
Yeah.
I think it was the rain and the heat from Disneyland, and with the blessing of size, which is why most everything has an indoor queue or some sort of a covered queue in the Magic Kingdom out here. So yeah, for that reason, yes, I agree. Because you can bounce around. I mean, there's not too many that you have to stand outside in line for, even as the lines get long. They've just added awnings and covers. I mean, the Mad Tea Party in Walt Disney World used to not be covered. It was open.
Oh, really?
I believe so. I could be totally wrong on this, but I, for some reason, don't remember it always being covered. Like, it's probably been covered for 30 years, but I want to say maybe when I was very young going, it did not have a full cover over it.
Yeah, I'm kind of biased, but I do like having it open, especially at night. It's just kind of cool.
Yeah, it's probably cool that way. I mean, Dumbo probably shuts down because that's not covered out here. I'm just trying to think in the Magic Kingdom, besides the roller coasters, what other attractions would close besides the Speedway.
Barnstormer?
Probably the Barnstormer.
Barnstormer.
Yeah. Barnstormer, Thunder Mountain, Splash. Not so much because you're not outside that much. There's only
and you're going to get wet anyway.
And we're going to get wet anyway.
Mm-hmm. What about the People Mover?
Nope. That's covered all the way.
Unless it's lightning.
Unless it's lightning because of an electric.
That was what I was wondering.
Electric
I'd
malfunction.
love to do that in the rain.
It's awesome, Jessica. It's awesome.
That's my favorite ride.
The Star Jets, I'm sure, stop up on top there.
Our treehouse closes during the rain. I assume that
I'm
yours
sure
does.
Disney World does too.
It probably does too, yeah.
And Tom Sawyer Island closes too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that closes at 5 o'clock.
I don't know. I've been on Tom Sawyer Island a few times when it's rained.
Oh, really?
And unless it's just a complete downpour with lightning, they did not clear us off the island.
You get to hide out in the caves.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Scare the Bojangles out of people.
But I have seen them put on additional entertainment at times for.
I believe if
when it rains in the park.
Yeah, if it's extended periods, I think they do as well. I mean, it's
yeah. I've noticed that because the characters kind of disappear because they're all free roaming, or most of them are free roaming in Disneyland. That the bands start to show up in more places to kind of make up for it.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, and at Magic Kingdom, they'll do that rainy day parade.
Right. Yeah.
If it's only a light shower, they'll come out and do that.
Yep. The rainy day cavalcade.
We went looking for Jessie and Woody one time near Big Thunder, right? Isn't that where they are? Between Big Thunder and Splash, somewhere around there?
Yeah, they used to hang out on the bridge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, it was sprinkling, and we couldn't find them anywhere where they were supposed to be, and we finally asked a cast member, and they told us that, stuffed animals don't do well in the rain. That probably, so they had to go inside, and I was very sad.
Stuffed animals don't do well in the rain. That's a good one.
Make an excellent point. I mean, we all saw what happened to Lotso.
Exactly. So. I don't know. If I had to make any other recommendation, it seems like it's Epcot's probably good too, because you know what it would do if you were on the World Showcase side or heading that direction. If you're not somebody who would typically spend some time in the pavilions that don't either have some sort of a ride or an attraction or a movie, it kind of forces your hand at, oh, let me go check this out.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me go in here and check this out and see what else is. I mean, if you're not into that stuff, you're not into that stuff. I mean, I know a lot of people complain about some of the pavilions and that they don't really have anything going on, or like the Morocco Pavilion is basically a couple of restaurants and then it's those shops down through those alleyways and all stuff like that. I've never bought anything from any of that stuff, and I never will, but I do like going and walking through all of that. I don't know, it gives you the feeling that you're in like a little street thing, kind of like in Aladdin, and there's the street vendors out there and gypsies and stuff like that, and if you want to meet Aladdin and Jasmine, that's where they are, all the way in the back now.
And I love walking through China, because all those shops, it's a huge shop.
Yeah, China's got that huge shop. Same thing with Japan. It's got the big two. And then if you go back all the way in Japan, there's that other... Isn't there like another shop all the way back? Straight back, too? I mean, there's...
and there's usually a little museum, too.
The museum, right. That's what I mean. The museum, yes. The museum, yep. Yeah, and you got the huge department store. I mean, they all have unique... China, too. I mean, you got the movie, and they have all the... I think the displays still with some of the terracotta warriors. Mm-hmm. The acrobats perform inside, if you see them. So, I mean, it's all... I don't know. Stuff's all interesting.
Somehow we always have reservations at Via Napoli when it rains. So we have to run all the way to Italy.
That's not a bad...
No, it's delicious. And we have a reservation there this weekend, too. So
for you.
We'll be there in the rain.
I wonder if we were sad this time because we didn't go to eat there, but they were redoing the area where the little pizza window was. So we had we wanted to go over there. We were looking for like a quick dinner. We didn't want to sit anywhere. Our party had kind of split up, so it was just my parents were just with us and the kids, and we were like, oh, let's just grab some pizza. It's easy, it's fine. Get all the way over there, because I think we were like in Japan on the other side, or China on the other side of America, and we get all the way over there and the window was closed. I was like, oh crap, what the hell's going on? So I walked inside to ask at the check-in desk if they were doing it somewhere else, and she's like, no, unfortunately no, it's down, they're redoing that area or whatever she said. So she didn't know when it was going to be back up.
Well, it's usually typically open only during Wine and Food Festival.
Really?
The walk-up window?
That's the only time I've seen it open.
I thought it was open all the time.
Me too.
I could be wrong too, but I thought it was open all the time. You can just walk up there and you grab a slice and just go and sit down on one of those tables.
I've done it a few times.
It's that, but yeah, Via Napoli is definitely a good place to get stuck in the rain.
Oh yeah, sure. It was nice. So have any of y'all ever had like particularly good or particularly bad experiences? We lost my sister's phone one time in a giant puddle at Animal Kingdom.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah,
that hurts.
Yeah. Thankfully it was okay, but she freaked out for a really long time.
Well, unless you get it to rice or something really quickly.
Yeah, I don't know how. It was some sort of miracle, divine intervention. I don't know how, but I mean, we had gotten off the tram to get to our car. Get in the car, she goes, "Oh my gosh, my phone!" And it was in about 5 inches deep puddle in the parking lot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it was good. And my husband still gives me a hard time about our trip. I think last year we were going from Journey of the Little Mermaid and Fantasyland to a reservation at Be Our Guest, but we had time, so we were going to ride Journey of the Little Mermaid.
Yep.
So I asked Christopher ahead to go ahead and get in line, and I was going to take the stroller near the stroller parking at Be Our Guest, and he was like, "No, I'll just wait." And he was like, "But are you sure? Maybe we should just leave it here because it's going to start raining." I was like, "No, we'll be fine." So by the time I get up there, the bottom drops out right as we park the stroller. And so by the time we get back to Journey of the Little Mermaid, everybody else has decided to go there. Oh. So we're stuck at the outside part of the queue instead of the indoor part. And he just kind of looked at me. And I mean, it's been a year and he's still like, "Really? You just had to go park the stroller up there." It made sense.
Yes.
At the time.
It made sense. Absolutely.
So it was funny.
I can't think. I know there was a trip. My youngest Dominic was still like an infant. I think it was his first trip, so this would have been 2012, Christmas time. It was pouring pretty good, in the morning, and we were going to head out from Animal Kingdom Lodge, and we had bought one of those things to fit over our stroller that we brought, which was this big Gigantor stroller. And we never tried it beforehand because it said it fit, like it was like a universal thing. Yeah, well, it didn't fit over ours. So my wife was like, well, you just take them, and if it eases up or whatever, then I'll just meet you guys at the park. And I think by the time we hem and hawed and screwed around, it actually had stopped raining at that point. But I remember, I think, or maybe I just took the older two and she waited, and I think that's what actually happened anyway. And just threw ponchos on them, and I probably went to the Magic Kingdom, and so we did whatever we could do. But I don't know that we've had anything that got ruined by it. I'm trying to remember. I know it rained. I remember it raining on our honeymoon when we were getting on the cruise, like for the kickoff party. But they still did it. It was like a light drizzle, but I'm pretty sure it was raining one of those. And one of the days at sea too, I think it rained for maybe most of the morning or something like that. So we're just kind of like, not that there's nothing to do in the ship, but so I think stuff like, but I can't think of anything major that it really canceled anything. I mean, this past trip we were getting nervous because they were calling for heavy rains for the night we had the luau, and the night and the prior night's one. When I said before, when we were hanging out in the lobby, we were watching because people were queuing up there and getting their lays from the check-in and everything, and they were being held there because the rain was so bad. I mean, they run the show because it's all covered, and they'll do enough of it in the rain, but I guess it was really coming. I think there was some lightning too and thunder, so then they won't have the performers go out. So I don't know I don't remember if they ended up running that. At least the early show might have gotten canceled, unfortunately, I think. But then I don't know what they do, if they give them another night, or I don't know how that works. I didn't ask, but we were hoping that ours didn't have the same fate. But we were lucky enough; it ended up clearing up enough that it didn't rain that night. But I don't know. Yeah, I can't think of anything. Just the perks of not having to deal with the crowds. I know. Yeah. Like the last time my wife and I were there ourselves, we were wandering through Epcot, and I remember stepping in like a huge puddle that I didn't realize was as big as it was, and I know my shoes and socks had gotten wet, but I think the poncho had a tear in the back or something because I had it over my backpack, so I think we both ended up being pretty soaked, but wandered around as long as we could before it was like, okay, now we just feel uncomfortable and nasty. So we went back to the room, and then it's like, hair dryer for everything, because I generally only bring one pair of sneakers with me, and I can't walk around with This was before I was wearing flip-flops, so I wouldn't walk around the park in Crocs, because then I would just get blisters, especially if they're wet. So now I think like this trip, the day I knew it was going to rain, I just threw flip-flops on. I was like, screw it. If my feet get wet, they're only flip-flops. Who cares? So, yeah, but I can't think of anything one extreme to the other. I'm sure there are people that do complain about it. I don't know. So my advice, I guess, and my recommendation, if you don't, if you're in the park and you just don't want to deal with it because your kids don't want to deal with it, or you're just not a person who likes hanging around in a poncho for hours on end, because eventually you are going to get somewhat kind of wet anyway. They're not full encompassing. They'll cover your head. Plus, if it's hot out, those things don't breathe. They're plastic, so you're even more miserable and sweaty and everything else, especially if you put the hood up over your head. Which unless you're wearing a baseball cap, you kind of have to. But for Disney World, my advice is check out, even if you're not staying at any of the resorts, head to the deluxe resorts, and you can definitely kill some time in the lobby. Bus ride doesn't cost you anything. But you do have to bounce around if you're not going to the monorail ones. But, go off the beaten path a little bit. Check out Wilderness Lodge lobby is gigantic. It's beautiful. There's stuff to hang out and see in there and do, little snacks. Like we said before, even if you're not somebody who likes to go and have a drink, there's quick serve places. There's shops that have snacks. Just to change it up a little bit, head to Animal Kingdom Lodge. Now with this minivan service and stuff, it's kind of easier to bounce around from resort to resort without having to go to a park in between. Even some of the lobbies of the moderates. I mean, the Dixie Landings and French Quarter are cool places to hang out. Or not Dixie Landings, Riverside, whatever the hell it's called now. Those
Port Orleans.
I'm sorry. If you like that theme, that that New Orleans vibe and stuff. There's great places to eat in there. So, explore. Explore. Then you don't feel like you're doing it when you should be in the park, when it's beautiful and sunny out. You don't feel like you're, not getting your money's worth. There's other ways, and that could lead to other options to wanting to stay at a different resort, finding a restaurant you never knew about. So, the place is huge. Walt Disney World is gigantic. There's a lot of things to do and see. It doesn't always have to be an attraction or a show. So you just, I guess, take a different mindset to it, even with your kids. I know some kids, they don't want to hear or know all that stuff, but you know what? Hey, some of that stuff is the stuff that they're going to remember sometimes more than riding Small World or meeting a character or going on a roller coaster. I know my kids remember stuff from some of the resorts that they've done too, as well as, physical experiences being the rides and the attractions. Sometimes it's, those personal experiences with a cast member or doing an activity that they really want to go back and do every time. I know my niece and nephew love doing those bead things at Animal Kingdom, when they're there. My kids I got a teenager now, an 11-year-old, and then an almost 6-year-old. And I tell you, this last trip, we were at the resort more than any other trip ever, and that they were happy, and that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to run around on the beach. They wanted to go in the pool. They wanted to go up and down the slide 1,000 million times. So, you know what?
How about it?
That's what they did.
Yep.
So, I don't know. That's kind of my take on it.
I like it. So we'll see what happens this weekend. I'm really excited. I'm excited because I'm trying to turn over this new leaf about vacations and not be quite so structured and be a little more, fly by the seat of my pants. So this is going to force me to do that a little bit. And I'm excited about it.
You can do it.
I can do it.
We used to do that too. We used to go so structured. We'd had every minute planned out every day, what ride we were going to ride when. Of course, this was before the fast pass system we have now. But now we just kind of go and just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah. So, and we kind of did that in December. I worked on it then. So, I'm getting better.
Yeah, but having zero fast pass plans that's like next level for you. So
okay, no, I have fast passes. Don't get me wrong.
No, I thought you said for that one day you didn't have anything
planned
for Saturday.
That's July. That's next.
That's
my husband's trip. Is
okay.
No. We have fast passes. We probably won't make them.
Gotcha. Okay,
they're there just in case.
Okay, I got you. You have a fail-safe.
Exactly. It's like, I have
her safety blanket.
Exactly.
I tell you, you almost, even if you're a complete spontaneous fly-by-night, which is kind of what I like to do, it's hard with kids and a family to do that, but I think you even still have to at least book those initial 3, even if like you said, if you don't go to them, but at least you have them, just in case the spontaneity doesn't work out for whatever reason.
Or in case it's incredibly busy that day and everything has a 60-minute wait, and you're like, well, look at this. I happen to have a fast pass.
That's right. And then you could say, now who's the hero?
Aren't you glad I'm crazy?
That's right.
Seriously, y'all, you should really feel sorry for my husband, especially lately, because we have this trip coming up this weekend and our fast pass was the same week. He was like, are you talking to me about Disney again? And I said, yes, I am. We're just going to have to deal with it.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, the funny part about it is it wasn't me that was the one that was doing all the planning back in those days. It was my wife.
And now you do it professionally. Look at you.
And now I do it professionally. Go figure.
It's all good. Like we've said a million times on here. It's in our name to go exploring, so it doesn't hurt to go off the beaten path.
Nope.
Or go out of your realm of comfort.
Right.
So, because generally it leads to, if you let it happen that way, it'll lead to probably some of the best memories, and when stuff goes off the rails a little bit sometimes, especially if you're looking for like, cast member experience with talking, and you roll up into a place and you're soaking wet, it's going to spark some sort of funny conversation with either somebody next to you, somebody around you, a cast member who has a great sense of humor, especially if you're rolling into one of the lounges or the bars or something like that. And to me, I enjoy that stuff now as I'm older and have gone without my children on multiple occasions, and then with a group of friends, as I was able to do last year. It just brings a whole different way to look at it, and the rainy day thing can definitely play into that a lot more with situations like that. So it depends on you and your personality too. If you're not if you're an introvert, then I don't know what to tell you. go sit in your room and color. I don't know.
Yeah, if the rain's gonna ruin your whole trip, then you've got a real problem.
Yeah, it's definitely,
you have to adapt and overcome.
Yep, absolutely.
We're not afraid to go throw on a poncho and go ride rides, or just go hang out in a bar.
That's it. It's only water. Save yourself a shower at the end of the day. All right. So before this gets odd, too late, right?
We passed that threshold 2 years ago.
You are correct. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap this one up, and we thank everybody for listening. And if any of this happens to anybody, rainy day stuff, feel free to share it on any of our social media platforms. We're out there, share it on our Facebook group, put pictures of what you did, or yourself soaked in with a poncho, or poncho fails, you're walking by something, it gets caught and rips right off, or, anything silly like that. We're all for it. So thank you again, and we'll talk to everybody next week. Follow our troupe at www.disexplorers.com, where you can find all the links for all our hosts' social media accounts. You can also follow the podcast on our Facebook group at The Diz Explorers, and on Twitter and Instagram at The Diz Explorers. You can download this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher Radio, and also on YouTube. Thanks for listening.
Hope you had a good time. So long from Jiminy Cricket and Spectral Magic.